Nuclear has always kind of been a bit of a strange one for environmentalists and for the industry overall. You know, it's an emissions-free power source, right, which would seem to align well with the goals of environmentalists. However, safety concerns, you know, end up being an issue. You mentioned 3 Mile Island, Fukushima, and otherwise. And so, you know, with the combination of demand from AI for power of all types, coupled with the fact that it is an emissions-free power source, has really brought it back into the forefront in supporting the AI demand story. So you have the demand picture has clearly strengthened as a result of that. The two things that really blew a hole in the story the last time it was in vogue in the Obama administration was really the shale revolution, which made natural gas so cheap as an alternative. And then in 2011, Fukushima created all kinds of concerns there. So the two really blew a hole in the story then. And now, you know, 15 years has gone by since then. And the memory has faded. And now it's back in the forefront in folks' minds.
So expanding or keeping alive or recommissioning a nuclear plant is one thing, and that's what we're doing at 3 Mile Island. We're getting it back up and running again. Then Constellation also made that deal with Meta on Monday or Tuesday that it's just continuing to expand. It's going to keep going with its nuclear reactor, right? But building a new one is like a whole different thing. How expensive is that?
Yeah, so we've only built one plant in the last 30 years in this country. It was in Georgia. It was initially expected to cost under $15 billion and take 7.5 years. And it ended up costing over $30 billion to complete. And taking about twice as long as expected. And that was the one that got through, right?
Well, but President Trump and what he outlined in those executive orders is aimed to reduce the time and the money. But can it do it that much?
I mean, in theory, it's possible, yes, but there's so much we don't know, right? I mean, our expectation would be that, you know, we may not even see full-sized reactors built at this point, right? Small modular reactors.
That's where I want to go.
Are being developed.
He said it well. I didn't say it well.
There are, you know, and so these are going to be much more, they're, you know, modular built. They're smaller in terms of the unitization. And so they could be built conceivably behind the grid if the regulators can get comfortable with the safety aspects. So it's conceivable, but none of those have been built yet, right? So a lot of it's still on the come. And a lot of it will depend on the progress of technology, progress of the regulators, et cetera.
Is the technology there? Because we've had people come through here and kind of imply that it is there.
It is on paper. You know, there's
have we built one of them?
We have not built any of them in the U.S. There have been a couple built overseas. Only one design has been approved, and that is NuScale's small modular reactor. And that's basically mimics a light water reactor. It's a smaller version of the plants that are in service now. 2/3 of the ones in service in the U.S. are Westinghouse, 1/3, give or take, are GE, and those are all light water reactors. And then there's a whole other list of companies that are building these more innovative technology, gas-cooled reactors, salt-cooled reactors. None of those are in service, right? And, you know, half of those are in the process of commercialization in some way, shape, or form, but none have been built here. No.
Why is nuclear so interesting to hyperscalers?
Because it's emissions free and because it runs 24/7, right? And that's the big knock on wind and solar, right? And so those two things in and of themselves, they need to be 24/7. They need to be base load in order to support data center needs, number one. And number two, emissions free, you know, supports the environmental mandates of the Metas, the Googles, the Microsofts of the world. And those are two huge positives that can't be ignored. So if indeed we need power for a longer period of time than it's taken to train these models, and all indications suggest that will be the case for inferencing purposes, nuclear's positives are really too great to ignore.
But it's expensive.
Yes.
Who's going to pay for this? Are we federal government's going to come up with some subsidies? Is the president proposing that?
Yeah, they are proposing that. And that's really kind of the big unknown right now. How much money are they willing to put behind this? When they built the Southern Company plant Vogel in Georgia, the Obama administration put over $8 billion in loan guarantees towards that, and it ended up costing $31 to $34 billion. Wow. Yeah.
Oh
and
gosh.
So we're in an age now, right, where the budget's a concern. And some renewable projects are being canceled. Others are being allowed to move forward, whether it's hydrogen, whether it's carbon capture, et cetera. So, you know, Trump's saying he loves nuclear is a big positive there. But how much money they're willing to put behind specific projects is really the key question here.